The mind has no time. Many times we're reliving our past. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Mind Engineer. Here, Tommy Walker. I want to share a little bit more about how the mind works and how to start making changes. Because, as I always say, when we're able to understand how the mind works, it makes it easier to make changes, right? So, one of the things that I want to share that a lot of people don't know is that the mind many times is reliving the past as if it were happening right now, here and now. What does that mean? That the mind has no time. When we close our eyes and we imagine a moment from our past, for the mind that is happening here and now. If you imagine yourself when you were, I don't know, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 years old, and you go to a difficult moment or you go to a very nice moment, you're going to start reliving the memories and the feelings from that experience. So imagine that, I don't know, maybe your mom got angry at you and she was screaming at you. You're going to feel maybe that anguish. You're going to feel that, anxiety. You're going to feel a bit of fear. You're going to feel a little bit of maybe anxiety. And although that happened in the past, for the mind and the body, that is happening right now. So the mind cannot distinguish between what we're living right now and what happened in the past. So what I've seen many times, and it has happened to me, and I've worked with a lot of people that have gone through this, is that suddenly somebody wakes up in the morning and they wake up with anxiety, fear, sadness, or any type of turmoil of emotions. And when they look around, they kind of try to convince themselves that, nothing is going on, but actually there is something going on. So it is important to start understanding that the mind is playing, maybe not all the time, but many times more than just one thing, like today, October 2025. It could be replaying something that happened 2 years ago, something that happened 5 years ago, something happened 10 years ago. I always tell this story about me going to visit my brother in the States last year or the year before. I don't remember. I think it was last year. And we went to Home Depot. He needed to buy some things, so it was too big. So he needed to rent a truck. We got the truck and he told me gave me his keys and said, "Hey, I'll drive the truck. Can you drive the car back home?" And I said, "Yes, of course." I was 45 years old. I had been driving many years of my life. I have thousands of miles on me. So suddenly I sat on the car and I started feeling my heart rate started racing. I started getting all my palms kind of sweaty. I started going into this fight or flight mode. And at the beginning, I didn't know what was going on. So as I've been doing this for many years, I stopped a second. I took a couple of breaths, closed my eyes, and I started feeling the anxiety. I started feeling the fear. I allowed it to be there. I didn't start to try to, as I was talking last time about cognitive bypass, trying to tell myself that I shouldn't feel scared, that I shouldn't feel anxiety, that I shouldn't feel anything. No, I embraced it. I started asking questions. Why do I feel like this? I'm scared of, crashing. Why am I so scared of getting into a car crash? And as I was being open-minded, open-hearted, trying to learn from this experience instead of rejecting and instead of denying it, suddenly the image came to my mind. What the mind was seeing, that there was a slight disconnect between the right lobe and the left lobe, the right lobe being more the emotional side, the memory, and the left lobe is more the intellectual, maybe being able to explain in words what's going on. As I was able to start breathing, connecting deeper, I saw the image of when, I think it was, 24 years ago from that event, 24 years earlier, I had a car crash, right? And I never dealt with that. So 24 years later, 25 years later, it came back because it was time to deal with it and deal with the emotions that were stuck in the body and all the things in the mind related to that. And my brother was at that moment in the US. And after that, I have been driving my brother's car. So suddenly something happens in the mind. The mind says, okay, we're ready to face this. And boom, it brings it up. So suddenly, if you're starting feeling anxiety, stress, sadness, shame, whatever emotion that is start building up, and supposedly nothing is happening on the outside, I want to invite you to start realizing that it might be something that is running in the back of your head, and that if you don't start practicing these exercises, you're just going to push it back again, not dealt with, and it's going to come back later on as another opportunity to deal with it. I believe that we're spiritual beings living a human experience. So whatever is not resolved from our past, although the past is in the past, for the mind, there is no time, there is no past. It is right now here. So whenever we're going through different emotions, many times it could be attached something from the past. Whether it is that suddenly you're feeling awkward with your partner or with a friend or with a family member or with somebody and you don't know what's going on, ask yourself, right? How am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? Try to go deeper. First, feel the emotions. Sorry. How am I feeling? And feel the emotions, right? Feel them in the body. Where in the body am I feeling this emotion? Connect with the body. There is a disconnect with the body many times. So we start connecting with the body. Where is this? I'm feeling scared. Scared where? I'm feeling it in the gut. I'm feeling it in the stomach. I'm feeling it on the chest. I'm feeling it on the throat. I'm feeling it on the head, right? Different people feel it in different places. So how do I feel? Navigate that emotion. Feel it. Next, why am I feeling this? Try to go deeper. Okay, I'm feeling scared because of this. I'm feeling, sad because of this. What is going on in the mind that you're not being able to maybe recognize? As we start going deeper, it makes it easier to understand. So I've had this a couple of months ago. I woke up, or even a month or 2 months ago, I woke up with a lot of anxiety and a lot of, it was anguish, right? I didn't know what was going on. And as I sat down, I experienced the anguish, the sadness, some tears came down. As I started validating that, recognizing that there was a valid reason to be there, the mind started opening up and revealed an incident that had happened. I'm 46 now, so this was when I was more or less 20 years old. So imagine 26 years ago, I went through an incident that was very traumatic for me, and I never had dealt with it. Yes, I've done a lot of work, but that specific event that was very traumatic, I never realized, I had to deal with it. So it was kind of back in the head and I never went back to it. So suddenly, boom, the mind, my soul, whatever you want to call it, brought it up and I started dealing with it. So how did I feel? I felt sadness. I felt rejected. I felt many things at that moment. How did I feel? Why did I feel this? And how did it make me feel about myself? As I allow my emotions to be in my body, I didn't fight them. I didn't try to override them with any type of knowledge, any type of intelligence. I just sat there feeling the emotions, understanding why they were there, validating what I was going through and everything. I was able to help myself navigate that moment that happened 26 years ago, that back then I was alone and there was nobody there for me. What I did for the mind is that there was somebody now there for me. Tommy, adult, was there for Tommy, young guy, back then when that incident happened. So Tommy now for the first time was not alone. At that incident, and for many years, I was alone. But as there is no time, I was able to jump in time and land there, and Tommy adult have a conversation with Tommy young guy to understand what he went through, how he felt, and validating how he was feeling. And I was able to heal something that was very traumatic for me. And I've done this for many years, for many incidents, different incidents in my life. The image that I have that's happening in the mind, I imagine that the mind, like the brain, is in front of many screens being different moments of your life, and including the one today, right now, that you're living through. And the mind is, in a way, watching all of that. And each time it sees a memory that might still have unresolved issues in it, unresolved emotions, you're going to feel them. It doesn't mean that you're seeing every incident at the same time, but the mind suddenly, what happens is, I call it through attachment. What does that mean? So if suddenly, as I said, I was sitting in front of my brother's car, right? And I had many years ago crashed in the US. No, it wasn't my brother's car, it was my aunt's car, but that attachment of sitting in a car, And because I was ready, the mind opened that memory and brought all those emotions here and now so that I could release them, resolve them, understand the beliefs that I had back then, and reprogram. The more we do that, we're able to start, in a way, I call it diffusing the bomb. Because if we don't deal with our emotions are going to deal with us. I was thinking about the topic for today, and I came up with this: if we don't deal with our emotions are going to deal with us. They're going to run our life. I thought, wait, let's talk more about this. As the mind has no time, we can start working on healing past events from our life. A lot of people have used this, the past is gone, the past is in the past. But the truth is, I'm proving to you that the mind science, not just Tommy, science has proven that the mind has no time. There's a very famous person, Bessel van der Kolk, that has proven, him and other studies, that the mind, the right lobe of the emotional side could be reliving a past memory. And there might be a disconnect with the left lobe, and you might not be aware that that is happening, and you're reliving those emotions from back then. And most people, what they do, they reject them, judge them, criticize them, they try to shove them to the back again. Instead, the idea is to feel them, recognize them, and see the wisdom behind those negative emotions. Because remember that behind every negative emotion, there's a lot of wisdom. A lot of people are missing that opportunity by just shoving that everything under the rug, talking to themselves, telling that they shouldn't feel this way, that, there's nothing going wrong, but whatever. Once I was working with a woman that she was feeling very unsafe when she woke up in the morning many times, and I've seen this in many cases. And she told me, but Tommy, I live in a very safe country. I live in an apartment. Nothing's going to happen. I don't have anybody around me that can hurt me, but I still wake up with this fear. And I started asking her about her past. And when she was a little girl, she woke up many times scared of how the day was going to go around mom and dad. So she was reliving that past. As we started healing those past memories, she started feeling safer in her body. Because at the end, that was it. And I've seen this. I'm working with another guy that also, when he was a little kid, his amygdala was always in fight or flight mode because he was scared of when mom and dad were going to attack him, reject him, judge him, or criticize him. And he lived most of his life like that. He's in his 60s now. As we started working, we were able, through the work that we did, to reduce the firing to relaxation state in his mind because of the work that he's doing. Because as he's healing the past, the mind is not using the past to project a potential future. So the more we do this work, the more we're able to heal, release our past, and start making changes in every aspect of our life. It doesn't matter in what aspect you're looking to make a change, whether it is going more to the gym, whether it is making more money, whether it is finding love, whether it is whatever, right? Whenever we're seeking on the outside for more money, we're seeking for love, there is something that is missing within us that needs to be dealt with to be able to discover the love that we are, to then be able to share it with other people out there. Discover the value that we are, and then abundance starts flowing more our way. It doesn't mean that you're going to become a millionaire. I don't know what's going to happen. That's your story. That's your, story to create. But I have seen tons of people that as they did that very deep inner work, suddenly their outer world started making changes. And that's the idea. As we change within, the world as we look at it starts changing, and we're able to start creating changes in the life that we're living. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know what you think. If you have heard this before, if you have experienced this, waking up maybe, or maybe going to sleep, or something happening during the day that suddenly made these emotions come up out of nowhere and you're not being able to understand, put it in the comments. I'll read you later. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoy this again. And I'll see you